It's Thursday the 14th of May, and I was delighted a while ago when one of my children bought me this copy of Treasure Island, Robert Louis Stevenson's classic book. This isn't just some random book. It wasn't a random gift. It was bought because they know how much this story means to me. And it means a lot to me because when I was growing up as a child, well, we didn't have very many books in the house. And I can remember two. I can remember Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and that was great. And I can remember Treasure Island. And the thing I remember about Treasure Island was that the cover was very plain. It was just plain blue, but the story inside just really gripped me. I loved the story. It was so exciting, and I read it over and over again. And whenever our children and family are together, you will often hear me quote from it, "Them that dies will be the lucky ones." And if ever cheese is brought onto the table, well, then you will hear someone refer to it as Christian food. And that book with its plain blue cover is a real life example of the fact that you can't judge a book by its cover. The cover on this looks much more exciting. One of the readings that's set for tonight for evening prayer is 1 Samuel chapter 16. It's the first 13 verses, and that has a similar theme. It's the passage where God is choosing a new king for the Israelites. Saul had been disobedient to God, and so God had sent Samuel, the prophet, to the home of Jesse to tell him that God had chosen one of his sons to become king. And so the first son of Jesse came, Eliab, and he came to meet Samuel, and he was tall and handsome and strong, and Samuel thought, oh, this must be the one. But read in the passage that God says no. Man looks on the outward appearance, we read, but God looks at the heart. And one by one, Samuel met all of Jesse's sons, except the youngest. The youngest, the least important, was out in the fields looking after the sheep. But he was sent for, and God said, he is the one. And that boy eventually became King David, the most famous of all of Israel's kings. Knowing that God doesn't judge us by our cover is very good news for all of us. It's a real comfort to know that God looks past our mistakes and into our hearts, into our desires, that he loves us so much that he's willing to say, just as he did to David, you are the one. We are the one that God loves and chooses to be his. And I know that as time goes on, our front covers can get a bit tatty. But let's be encouraged that when we draw close to God, it's what and who we are on the inside that God sees. God knows the desire of our hearts. And it's that desire, who we really are, that God loves, revitalizes, and cherishes every day. Bye for now.